Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, I think the Americans are thinking the same thing the Russians are regarding the reconstruction of Ukraine, and that is paying for it. I think the Americans and its weasel countries are trying right now to say how much Russia has to pay in damages to reconstruct Ukraine. I think Russia agrees with that. But it's a little bit of a little catch. They agree with that, but that means they have to take over the entire Ukraine then. And then start the reconstruction process. Like, yes, these guys did in Iraq. Remember? Okay, so I think the Russians could do that. And there's not going to be anything wrong with that, I'm guessing, since the other guys did it. No? Okay, let's read this article first and then go over what's going on. Russia Today, 16th of April 2023. Russia should pay for Ukraine's reconstruction, US. I think the Americans agree, with a catch that I already said. Washington is discussing with partners, no such things, how Russia's frozen assets, nah, not like that, my friends, can be used to benefit Kiev, the US Treasury Secretary said. The Russians call this robbery. Thievery. All right. Washington believes Russia should cover the cost of Ukraine's reconstruction. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen was incapable of predicting a big inflation after printing so much money. That's her, from the Federal Reserve, ex-Federal Reserve boss, told CNN on Saturday. The U.S. is discussing potential way to use Russian asset frozen in the West, but still admits there are certain legal restrictions. That's just for the weasels. There will be no legal restrictions. They will make sure they are going to waive those. On what can be done with them, she admitted. Everything is going to be happening, I'm telling you that, right now. See my face? That will happen. They will find a way. And they will justify it for all of us, like, okay, I guess it's legal because they said so. I guarantee you they will be possible. The problem is, with the reconstruction, as I said, the Russians could do that, as the Americans did. Remember what happened in Iraq for the younger generation? All right, so it was that horrible terrorist attack on September 11, if you remember, 2001. And the American intelligence and George W. Bush Jr. and kind of like, I think he was had some little problems. Anyway, he was a graduate of both Yale and Harvard. That's why Ivy League schools are, okay? That guy, George W. Bush Jr., yes. He went to Yale and Harvard. He must be smart. Why don't you listen to him, okay? And then you're going to figure out how smart he is. So they agreed, they found out the evidence that Saddam Hussein trained and harbored terrorists and helped, those terrorists to do that horrible thing on September 11. All right, and then they say, well, that didn't really, there were people who say, well, that's too obvious, that didn't kind of like, you know what I mean? All right, and something else. Well, you know what? Saddam Hussein is training terrorists to attack, and it's going to be an imminent attack on our territory. So he has weapons of mass destruction. The intelligence provided the evidence. The British intelligence as well, the Israeli, I think, intelligence, and the American intelligence all came with evidence that Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction. The guy said, no, man, come and check my butt right here. Nothing. Well, they went over there, they said they're mobile, but they wanted to, okay. And then they couldn't find it, they said, well, you know what, let's go. They went in with a coalition, yes, with a coalition of countries, because alone would show courage. But hey, with a coalition shows legitimacy. You're not like the unilateral punching someone in the face. You're like you plus others that are saying, yeah, man, do it like that. Yeah, you're doing right. No, yeah. Okay. This is the coalition of the good. Anyway, so after they got over there, they checked everywhere and they couldn't find those weapons of mass destruction that they were looking for, as far as I know. So then they said, well, it's okay. While we are at it, we're going to bring democracy and freedom to the Iraqi people, and they will love us. And they brought freedom and democracy. And they said, because we're good, we're going to reconstruct your country. all right? And they poured billions of dollars over there, as far as I know, with companies that worked and had all kind of, contracts over there, and they made a lot of money with government contracts, and they rebuilt Iraq. That Iraq right now is at the level of Switzerland. Did you notice that? Oh, you say that's not true? Well, I think the intelligence community told me that, no? Okay, so you got the BS, correct? Now the Russians attacked unprovoked Ukraine, and now because they said this and they said that, so now they attack. And what if they take over and they say, well, maybe we were wrong, but you know what, in the meantime, we're going to bring some vodka. Vodka for all Ukrainians for a year, free. At least we're running vodka, or we're going to bring freedom and democracy or something. And in the meantime, we're going to reconstruct Ukraine. Okay? We're going to make sure that they have free elections like the Iraqis had. Okay? All right? So it's such a ridiculous conversation about it. Anyway, let's continue reading here if there's anything else to be read. When asked about whether Russia should pay for the damage, quote unquote, remember this is Russia today, so obviously they don't like it, done to Ukraine over the course of the ongoing conflict between Kiev and Moscow, Yellen replied that it was, and I'm quoting, a responsibility that I think the global community expects Russia to bear. Weasel talk. Global community like what? China? India? Brazil? They are part of global community, or because they will not agree with you, then they're not part of the global community. That's how it works. And I'm going again. Oh my God, here she is. Jesus fucking Christ. This is something we're discussing with our partners. Psst, partners, yeah, she added. Partners means this. Partners imply equality, equity. They love equity and diversity and inclusion. But sometimes somehow they exclude people, and there's not kind of equitable over there. Who's boss? I mean, you tell me last time when, let's say, the partners, let's pick a country. Germany told the United States to do something that the United States did not want to do. And you tell me the other way around? Should I start a list? One example is sanctions on Russia. Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2. Getting themselves with gas. And not only. They drag them in Taiwan now. So yeah, partners means equal, you know what I mean? But maybe they have a different kind of equal in mind, and I'm missing that. It's a possibility. I don't speak third language. So anyway, it says here that the Treasury Secretary did not elaborate on what the US or its allies, again, allies in crime or what? In loot, could potentially do to Moscow assets while remaining within those constraints. They don't need to stay in those constraints because they make the rules. So if I make the rules, I can change them. Yellen comment came just days after this woman, Victoria Nuland, the U.S. Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs, I covered that article, said that Washington was working on making Moscow help pay. Moscow will help because they want their helpers for all that it has broken. They will. When they're going to conquer the whole Ukraine then? According to Nuland, the U.S. Congress granted the Justice Department authority to use illicit assets seized from Russian oligarchs. Well, it's their money. What do you mean? Anyway, properties. Anyway, to help. See, we're helping. And we're going to help Russians help Ukrainians. Discussions, and I'm quoting, were ongoing between Washington and its allies about the Russian central bank assets as well. Central bank, my friends. She said at the time, Western nations have frozen an estimated total of $300 billion of these assets since the start of the conflict between Moscow and Kiev. Earlier this week, German Die Welt newspaper reported, citing an internal EU document, that the bloc would eventually have to return the frozen assets to Russia. The money cannot be kept indefinitely by the EU or diverted to Ukraine, the document reportedly states. Moscow previously slammed any potential Western attempts to transfer seized Russian assets to Ukraine as barbarism, end quote. If necessary, Russia will respond in kind. Foreign Minister spokeswoman Maria Zakharova, we like her definitely, not like that, but a very intelligent woman, warned in February. Russia also repeatedly called the freezing of its assets theft, as has also cautioned that it goes against international law. Yeah. We are the law, and so on. So yeah, that's how it is. We are the law. We do whatever we want. Remember, for people who work in institutions where they have a director or a boss or an owner or something like that, didn't you realize that those people can change the policy or can, at their discretion, cut the line and ignore certain policies? It happened to me many times. The boss says, that's a policy I know, but we make an exception. Who determines that? Who got the power? So yes, the Americans will make some exceptions here, and they will find a way to have the Russians pay. But I think Russia, how can they retaliate? I don't know. I think there are a lot of assets that are Western assets in Russia as well, and they're going to hurt them as well. Is that how it is? Well, mutual destruction. Anyway, this is it, my friends. I made a lot of analogies with this. Like I get in a scuffle with my neighbor, and the bank doesn't give me my money back, but gives my neighbor my money because the neighbor agrees, because the bank agrees with my neighbor and not with me. All right, see how that is. And besides, the bank is not my boss. But anyway, international law and BS. See how it works? I got this. You don't. I tell you what to do, and you'll do it. Otherwise, threats, blackmail, regime change, and straight bombardment, bomb, helicopters, machine guns, and other things. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just, my friends.